Hello fellow Airsofters, this is going to be a review on a very special gun, the G&G GR16 Original Plastic Series. My codename is Mirage, and I'm with PhantomWerx Airsoft here in Minnesota. Now, this is what the gun originally looks like when you get it out of the box. I've made some minor external improvements. For example, the MOE handguard, the MOE retractable stock, 6 positions. I've added a buffer tube, and the new PMag Beta Mags. I'm going to talk about the mags first, since it's the smallest part. There's a lot of skepticism that these mags aren't as good as the Magpul mags. I have to disagree with that. I've used the Magpul mags. I've also used these. They feed absolutely flawlessly in almost every gun I own. Just remember, with all of your mid-caps, you have to break in the spring. Now, there's a very strong belief that the MOE handguard makes it so you cannot fit batteries very well inside, as opposed to a regular handguard, because they are thinner. I'm going to show you how you can fit your normal batteries in here. The difference with this gun is how thin the outer barrel is. With your fatter outer barrels, it's about this thick. Your fatter outer barrels, you have a hard time fitting batteries in. My colleague, Ghost, from PhantomWerx, has a hard time fitting his battery in his, because he has a King Arms MOE, and frankly, those outer barrels are gigantic. Normally this isn't this hard, but I'm having a hard time today. There we go. One thing you do need to know if you're switching over to MOE hand grip, you need the real steel type delta rings. You also need the real steel type teeth, which you'll see every time you pull off your handguard. Internally, this thing, I can't express how incredible it is. You have your plain Jane dust cover fake dummy bolt. Pulling it back. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you have just a regular G&G hop-up unit, which isn't bad, they're good. But internally this thing has a Pro-Line gearbox. So the G&G Pro-Lines are often extremely expensive because they have metal bodies. G&G made this series to accommodate for the people who couldn't afford the metal bodies. It's just the best way I could say it. It's the economy version. But G&G doesn't make this one anymore. I bought mine from a local seller. Airsoft GI still has the original Plastica series in M16 form with the full stock. It's rear wired, but they don't have the original GR16. I'm not going to do a rate of fire test or a shooting test for you guys, because I'm sure you can find a ton of videos online about it. One thing I will mention is these do come with a high torque motor, so they're tearing out pretty fast. This is the original hand motor grip. I will be installing an MOE motor grip later on. Accurate groupings up to 120 feet, no sweat. Probably ripping out at 16 rounds per second the last time I clocked it. It's one of the scariest guns we have on our field, because people can't outrun it. The next thing I'm going to do is compare PMag to a regular mag, just so you guys can tell the difference. Here's your regular standard high cap with a Magpul hole. Here's the PMag. Feels like junky, or it sounds like junky plastic. Nothing. solid as a rock. So if you guys want to pick these up, I definitely recommend it. For a pack of 5, it's $42 from eVic, and I think Airsoft GI is about $43 or $45. The fire selector is not ambidextrous. It's safe, semi, and auto. But unlike most fire selectors, it doesn't get caught on semi, like you would get caught right about here. It's nice and crisp. So if you can find one of these, don't hesitate to buy it. They're amazing. The one thing I do want to mention is that, you know how there's, on new airsoft guns, there's a screw that allows you to take out the mag release if you need to take apart your gearbox? The original Plasticas don't have it, so in order to take out your gearbox, you will have to break your mag release, which is like a $9 replacement part, so just be prepared to spend that money. I don't have an optic or a sight on it right now in the rear, but I decided not to go that route for now because I'm waiting on an optic. But overall, really impressive gun, especially for how much I paid for it. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it because that's my little secret. No, but the one thing I want to mention last, this is not a functioning forward assist. These are not combat machines. They're not the junky plastic, well, polymer body pieces of garbage that G&G is popping out now. No offense to them. Their combat machines aren't horrible, but they're not as good as their original Plasticas. But this forward assist is just there for kicks and giggles. It doesn't function. And that will conclude the review of the G&G GR16.